Hey everyone, welcome back. Today I got a package in the mail. It is a brand new knife. I thought I'd treat myself to something special, and I'm going to unbox it. But first, I thought I'd take the opportunity to talk about knives. A question I get all the time is, what's the best knife? What knife do professional chefs use? What knife is right? What's a quality knife? And I got to tell you, I don't own quality knives. This will be the first knife that I've ever bought that is a quality knife. So I thought I'd walk you through what you should look for, what I look for, and what is the best knife for you. And so there's three things that I think of as the best knife. The first thing is it sharp? Any knife that's sharp, that you maintain and you keep a really good edge on, that is a great knife. You can have the most expensive knife, hand-forged, made by some Japanese master, whose family has been making knives for 1,000 years. If that knife is dull, it's a shit knife. No other way to put it. You have to keep your knives sharp. That's the number one thing for a great knife. The second thing is the handle. How does it feel in your hand? Does it feel like an extension of your hand? Does it feel like an extension of your arm? How does it feel in your hand? Because if you're not comfortable with it in your hand, it's not a good knife for you. And the third thing is, how do you cut and chop? In the kitchen, what motion do you use to cut and chop? Because if you do this motion, you need a certain type of knife. If you do this motion, you use a different type of knife. So if you can answer those three questions and then go to a knife store and hold a pile of knives and ask them if you can chop, and you will find a knife that's right for you, and then just keep it sharp. And you know what, when you go to a knife store and you want to try out knives, take a carrot and chop some stuff. And if they won't let you chop stuff with a knife, then don't buy from there. Move on. So the knife I've got in my hand is the very first knife I ever bought. I've had this knife for 38 years. And by all accounts, by internet knife aficionados, this is a horrible knife. Really, it's stamped steel, doesn't have a great bevel, the handle is crap, the rivets are popping out. But you know what? It feels really good in my hand. I like it. And I can keep it sharp. So this has become my beater knife. This is the knife that I use for hacking away at pumpkins and winter squash. Anytime that I need a knife to do something that I wouldn't want to do with a really better quality knife, I'll do it with this one because I know I can bring back the edge, keep it sharp. And so for me, this is a great knife. I really don't care what the knife aficionados say. I really like this knife, and I think everybody should have a beater knife. Something that they're not afraid to use for those jobs that, you wouldn't want to use your more expensive knife with. The other knives that I own are these Henckels. These are the ones that I use in the house. They're just a standard German Henckles knife. This one isn't even made in Germany. This is one of the ones made in Brazil. Again, feels good in my hand. Easy to keep a nice sharp edge on it. Every couple of weeks I go onto a whetstone and I sharpen them up. Fantastic knife. When people come to me and say, what knives should I buy? I think you should be thinking of three knives. I think you need a paring knife, and a paring knife is a knife that you use for anything in your hand. So you're peeling potatoes, peeling apples, anything that you're doing in your hand, that's a paring knife. You need a chef knife, again, something that feels really good in your hand. And you need a serrated knife. This is a Henckels serrated knife. I don't think you need to spend that much for a serrated knife. I've got this serrated knife that was $2.99 at a kitchen supply store. By all accounts, horrible knife. I've had it now for 5 or 6 years, and it still does the job. It's never been sharpened. It's a perfect knife. So you don't need to go and spend a lot of money on a serrated knife. I've got this serrated knife that came as part of a set that was sent to us. I don't know. I don't think I'd spend the money on it. And the next thing you need, of course, is a steel. And this is not for sharpening your knives. This is just for honing or bringing back the edge. The edge will fold over, and you run your knife along. How can I show this? You run your knife along and it straightens it out. I don't know if that actually worked. But, so it's not for sharpening. You need a sharpening stone. And I should go and get the sharpening stones. Sharpening stones. So these are the ones that I own. I've had this one for probably 30 years. It's seen better days. And most of them, so if you're watching this on YouTube, you have probably looked at knife sharpening videos. And people spend a lot of time waxing poetic about the perfect water stone. Again, the perfect water stone is the water stone that you're comfortable using and that you use on a regular basis to sharpen your knives. If you're afraid to do this, don't be. If you have a beater knife, you're not going to ruin it on a whetstone, and you're going to figure out how to move the knife across the stone. You're going to figure it out, and you don't have to worry about the angles that much. I know everybody's going to say, oh, you need this angle or you need that angle. Or you do it until you get it sharp, and over time, it'll work out for you. So these are the knives that you'll see me use most often on set. They're knives that were sent to us. I'm not going to tell you who makes them because that's not what we do here. But they feel pretty good in my hand. They take a really good edge. If you sharpen them on a regular basis, they stay very sharp. They work pretty well. And they're fairly inexpensive. But they do come as a set. And there's a lot of knives in this set that I just don't use. So for me, I wouldn't buy a set. I would go out and buy an individual knife that feels good for a job that I needed to do. This is a knife that we were sent. It's supposed to have this ergonomic handle that juts down. I just don't feel it. This has never worked for me. So it sits in the drawer, unused. Very sad thing for a knife. And then there's this set up here on the top of the fridge. Again, another set that was sent to us. I've never used it. It has a honing thing in here. Looks like it's got ceramic honing inside. So every time you put the knife in and take it out, it would hone the knife. You know what? I don't know why I've never used this knife. That knife feels really good in my hand. And I can tell you, made in China, so it's not that expensive. I wonder if it holds an edge. Let's see. Does it hold an edge? Oh my. It does. So here's a knife that's been sitting in that block on top of that fridge, just out of sight for probably 5 or 6 years that I've never used. And you know what? I probably should have been using this knife. So there you go. I don't know what to tell you. You don't need to spend a lot of money on a knife. How it feels in your hand is the most important. Make sure that you get a steel. Make sure that you get a water stone so that you can actually sharpen it. Take a class. I know here in Toronto, there's 5 or 6 places that for $50 or $60 you can go for a Saturday or a Sunday, and they will teach you how to sharpen a knife with a whetstone. And so here is my new knife. Everything that I just told you about buying a knife, about picking it up and holding it in your hand, I threw that out the window. I bought this online from a maker in Victoria, British Columbia. I bought it from a picture on his website. I've never held this knife. So it could go horribly wrong. But he is a blacksmith. He hand forges these knives out of carbon steel. That's something else I should have said. All of those knives that I've shown you up to this point have been stainless steel, which means they take a little bit of abuse. If you don't clean it off immediately, it's not going to hurt the knife that much. So that's another reason I use them here in the studio, because things get busy. And if I don't get a chance to clean the lemon off of the knife, it's not going to hurt it. This one is carbon steel, hand forged carbon steel. 1084 carbon steel. It is a Japanese Gyoto style. It says here the handle is Brazilian rosewood and maple. And this feels really nice in my hand. Let's get the tag off. So this is made by a guy in Victoria. His company is called Relic Wood Co. And it is a hand-forged carbon steel knife. Feels pretty good in my hand. I think that's going to be a great knife. I was a little bit worried because I hadn't held it, and that's something that I always want to do with a knife, is hold it first. But having held a lot of Japanese knives over the years and lusting over them and lusting over them and lusting over them, I knew that this style of knife would fit fairly well in my hand. It's 260 millimeters long, which is probably a little bit longer than I need for most jobs, but I can't wait to start cutting with this knife. So come on back to the next few videos and we'll take it for a test run.